All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Destiny 2 PvP review and analysis. My name is Sassy, and we're going to be reviewing some comp on Endless Vale tonight. So, in the new Destiny 2 meta, and the way comp works in Destiny 2, it's now 3v3 soul only, and it's now solely the game type is survival. So, survival works is you've got 6 lives in total shared between 7 lives, 7 lives shared between your entire team. If you so that means the current 3 lives that you have, and then 4 extras. And if you run out of lives, that's it. You get and words. And if you get killed, you get knocked out. Simple as that. First team to win 4 rounds of this wins the game. So, in the Destiny 2 current meta, there are 2 playlists for glory-based or comp-based activities. One is Freelance, which is solo queue only, so you cannot do teams of 2 or teams of 3. And the other one is just regular old comp, which means that any team size can do all the way up to 3 players. Because of this, solo queue and group queue, I don't know what to call the other one. I'll just say group queue. They play very differently, mainly because communication. In the higher levels, communication becomes a key, and because of that, map control becomes so much more important than gun skill. You can be not that mechanically gifted, but if you have proper map control and proper discipline, particularly the way heavy works now, you can do a lot of damage and climb quite easily to the top of the ranks. But we'll be looking primarily at this Freelance. So everyone in this game currently is solo queuing. So there is minimal communication as to why I've now muted the gameplay. So we're not going to be looking at communication at all, because I believe this player was in a Discord at the time, and that will just be distracting from what we're trying to do tonight. So the way we're just going to run quickly over comp on Endless Vale. If I go over here and I look at Destiny 2 Endless Vale map, we can hopefully get a look. There we go. We'll just use... Can I get a bigger photo? Thank you. Ugh. I just want to open the image and... there we go. Alright. So, if we take this as the general oversight of how we're supposed to be playing this this map for Freelance comp, heavy control spawns... We just do this primarily. So these heavies here aren't in the game, because this is just a general overview. So heavy will spawn in this area after 30 seconds every single round. That's just how survival works at the moment. It might be subject to change, and hopefully it does get changed, because right now heavy control is paramount to winning the round. If you control heavy, you will almost always continue on to win the round. Basically because there are not enough lives left to make a considerable comeback and to flip the tables. So if we consider this the map, we want to be controlling this area here almost all the time up until which heavy is spawned. Once heavy is spawned, we want to hold this area here so we can always pick it up, because heavy spawns on this side of the pillar. So we can use that as a block to anyone coming up from drain. So anyone who's using that cannot get a sight line on us picking up heavy, and we can just dip out to each of the portals or bends depending on what we want to do. So if you're spawning A side, generally speaking, you send one person here looking as a straggler. You send... Generally, I don't believe contesting this sight line here is very important. generally at the higher levels, if you challenge this, it's a 50-50, whether or not you're going to get the kill or whether or not you're going to die. And more often than not, you'll find teams just ignore it straight up and just not take it. They'll look towards it to see if anyone's going to push inside, because as soon as you leave the cover around these corners here and you enter this zone in this area here, you're kind of dead man walking. So there's no cover for you to go through, and you can be picked off extremely quickly. So that's what they're looking for. So you kind of want to, I'll generally recommend someone coming around the back of the pillar here and posting up here. That way they can see a sight line down there. They can try get the long angle to see if anyone's coming up from the C flag point up towards this ramp. And that's where they kind of want to hang out until such a point they either want to duck in here and rotate if they want to support if someone's coming towards B. The third guy is also going to be a floater, and generally they'll go portal side and try to support B point, and they might hang out a little bit further out towards the edge of the map just to see if they can get sight lines on people that are coming from the cave in Ben side. That's how A side is played. If you want to consider B, I'm going to circle heavy again. If you want to consider Bravo side, they spawn in, I'm just going to color this in again. They'll spawn in here. You generally want to be doing the same thing. So you use this as a cover to come around this side and post up here. It's very, very symmetrical. So you come around the corner, someone comes here, and you generally have a floater that's coming in between these two areas. You kind of don't want to fight on this top platform here, because 9 times out of 10, the first person who jumps up onto this dies. Just because the fact that you've got one person generally here and one person there both looking at sight lines onto the shrine. So whoever really jumps up there without getting a pick will almost always die, because they're jumping up into a 1v2 and they'll be in the air, so they can't even shoot back that accurately. So you want to hang out on these areas here, and you kind of just want to play it super safe until someone either jumps up and rushes, or you have a fight around the outside of the cliff, and you stand here and you try to get angles towards the cave or something like that, or the hunter jumps down then jumps back up to try to get a flank. That's generally how the beginning of this map will play out. And then once you have heavy control, you're kind of never approaching past these zones here, because the moment you take a step past this area here, you effectively block this entire area from spawning. So they will always spawn on this back stair part if you step further than this line here. And the same applies to the right hand side. If you stand anywhere past this line, you've essentially blocked this entire area from spawning, and they'll spawn on the gulch. So you don't really want to proceed anywhere further than these lines, particularly when you have heavy, until you're guaranteed to know what kind of numbers there are. Ideally, in a version like this, you want to do what's called split spawning, where you get a kill and you start staggering their kills so they're not spawning at the same time, and you use that to your advantage, where you get 1 or 2 people spawning in this area, one person crosses this imaginary line, and the third person is spawned all by their lonesome on gulch. That will instantly put you at a 3v2 advantage if you choose to continue down on this area. And if you do have something like a hammerhead because you've picked up heavy, you can stand here, hug this wall, and you will almost always get free lines of sight to the major spawns that are in this bottom area and the major spawns that are on the shelf, if you can imagine it. So that's generally what happens, and you start stagger spawning, and you basically just flip between these two maps. Once you have map control, it is extremely hard for the other team to break it, and generally once you pick up heavy on this map, the round is essentially over. If we continue onwards, and we'll see in the gameplay, we might have an opportunity to talk about what happens if you do lose map control, and if you have to regain map control. That's a different point entirely, but it's generally quite one-sided once you've picked it up. That's just kind of how comp works at the moment. So I'm going to clear the screen, and let's get started and have a look at this gameplay and see if we can find anything interesting for it. Alright, so they spawn on alpha side, so on blocks, so that if you notice, so instantly you want to send someone towards the Vex gate, you want to have someone hanging around this area, and you want the third person kind of in this middle area as a floater. We'll see what this person does. Alright, so notice how they're triple stacking. You're triple stacking this sight line, and you're instantly pushing the 50-50. While this is great, you almost got your head completely taken off, because if you look here, look at all this area you've got in this space here. That is just free area for you to move in, but it's also part of the kill box. So if you remember what I talked about at the beginning, you've got this area that starts from this wall here, all the way here, and then all the way back. And this entire area in this middle here is kind of like a kill box, because you don't have anywhere to go once this person here starts firing. If they start firing, and if you come towards this middle area and there are two people, you're almost always guaranteed that you're just going to be instantly melted, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So while triple stacking in this area to get this sight line here is a okay strategy to do, particularly when you're in freelance, because no one's communicating, you need to all be switched on. And if you notice, this guy is in the middle of nowhere. So if there are two people, this guy is instantly dead, because you're not here to back up, or even if there is a third person. Notice how I'm talking about we're taking this 50-50. So worst case scenario, this guy here, Gilsey, gets instantly melted by the triple team here. You use your bygones to take out this one, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. If you rotate towards the right, you've got two completely healthy guys here, and they're just going to melt you instantly, because your teammate is behind you and to the left, which means that he can't help you until he reaches the spot where you are currently, which is about 1.5 seconds later than after you've moved, which is more than enough time for these two teams here to get you the line of sight. Because you have to remember that the enemy team spawns, their natural spawn allows them to get to this sight line from the little ramp where C flag spawns. That allows them to get a natural sight line onto this lane faster than this side. That's just generally how it works. So while it is good to get triple stacking here, you don't want to, this area here is not exactly the area you want to control, because this doesn't give you really that much area in terms of controlling heavy. You really want to be controlling that outside area. And if you can funnel the areas into here, that's great, but you need to be controlling the center area of the pedestal. So you almost get taken off. You have to bail out right now. Unfortunately, that Titan shield is not really going to do much. You're not really blocking anything, and it's kind of just in the middle of nowhere. But in my opinion, that's a wasted cooldown. Notice, because of that, and you've got pushed back, these guys, there wasn't a third person there in the sight line. There was only one person. The two of them went outside onto the heavy, onto pedestal. So they instantly have map control, and they can dart in to these little cubbies here, and they can instantly start taking you out. And because you've put a Titan barrier shield here, you've now blocked yourself and your teammate from supporting the third guy that's out the front, so he's just going to get rushed down. So notice here, because you've lost map control, there is really not much that you can do, and you've kind of sacrificed all of this ground. If you consider it, anything beyond this line here, you've kind of sacrificed to the enemy team. You've started firing towards a guy that's towards this place, and you know there has to be two people here. There was the guy that was in the cubby that SMG'd your teammate, and there was originally the guy that hit you in the body with the sniper rifle down towards the left of the lane. That probably means that there is a third guy here that's continued the flank around the outside to get you. So you've sacrificed all areas past this line is now theirs. If you go over that line, you're challenging, and they have numbers advantage, so that they will naturally win that fight unless something major happens. So you can't really do anything with this part of the map, so you just now have to bail and go towards drain and go underneath and see if you can regroup and try find a pick. Because of this, you've just instantly lost map control, and while that is nothing that you can't do yourself, That's just something that's happened because your group, quote unquote, has chosen to 3-stack this sight line. So continuing onwards, you can't really do anything. Sorry for the flash. You can't really do anything with this part of the map. So you got to just kind of bail. And you went over that imaginary line, so you're instantly going to get pounced upon. Unlucky that you missed the shotgun. Did you get it? Oh, look at that. Haven also messed up as well, and you got the trade. That's good. If you trade, trading is fine in survival until you run out of lives. And usually then, so long as they're out of lives as well, it's okay to trade because it's a net neutral. Luckily, Hungry Burger spawned, went back with the other guy, or they grouped up together and they were able to get the other 2 kills, so you now have map control, and hopefully Hungry Burger picks up heavy. Okay, you guys need to pick up heavy right now. If no one picks up heavy, you just have to pick it up straight away because it's too powerful a item for you to just leave up. Because now you're fighting over heavy. Notice this guy jumps up immediately and he's going to get instantly melted. Now, because your teammate died, you're expecting someone to be on this cliffside flank here. Because he died to a pulse rifle, and he was, I believe, right behind you. So the only logical place that this guy could be attacking from is this right-hand side here, because the other guy got instantly melted as soon as he jumped up. So you need to be watching the sight line to your right, maybe using this block as a line of sight blocker, and you need to be with your teammate watching for anyone else who chooses to jump up onto the pedestal here, because you need to melt them in terms to get heavy control again. Because right now you're both fighting for it. And then I'll eat my words, and they both jump up. So you have to contest this somehow. That is a great nade. And nice pushing with the shotgun. So now we're going to talk about momentum swing. So you now have a lives advantage. If I'm going to take this back here. There's a lot of things that you got to juggle in survival, but it's all relatively straightforward once you get a lot of the basics underneath your belt. So the enemy team now has 0 lives. So you're free to kind of do whatever you want because you still have 1 life advantage. So you can afford just to waste one. And if you do trade, you're trading upwards because they're now into a 2v3 because you still have that backup life. So you can actually look to aggressively trade here because you have the numbers advantage in a 2v2, in the 2v2. And on top of that, if they die, that's it. They're out of the round. So you can look forward to aggressively push and look forward to a trade even if you want to. Because you need to get this heavy control. The fact that they both jumped up onto the pedestal is a bad thing from their point of view. And the fact that you got caught out mid-reload is something else. So always finish your reload before you peek again, because you're wasting this animation here. You're essentially a dead man walking because you can't do anything until that animation is complete. You throw the nade, which is great. It lands exactly where you want them. So now both of these guys are on low HP because you both hit them with nades. So you hit one guy for 70, it was a 50 plus a 23. And you hit another guy for at least 50 as well. So now you can look to aggressively push these guys because you've split them up with the nade. This guy's gone backwards and this guy's gone forward to get out of the AoE. You have every right in the world to hard push this guy with your shotgun and go for the aggressive trade. Worst case scenario, you trade. That's still a good position to be in. And then the best case scenario, you get the kill and now he's knocked and that's it, you know? So you made the correct decision here in going for the aggressive trade with your shotgun. That's good, you got the knock. Now, you can't look to aggressively keep pushing and keep watching while you're on such low HP. So you did get the knock here, which is great. Immediately flick your eyes towards the radar. There is going to be at least one person in this thing. So if we can remember, he's definitely not on the pedestal because he just jumped off because the nade's there. He can't be on there because you've got that giant wall. So the only logical place that this guy can be is on the cliffside ledge. So what happens is that you need to use this like the wall here as a line of sight blocker. You've run out of ammo in your shotgun, but you can use yourself as bait. And if you use this wall and just like hug it and rotate backwards around it into the little pocket, then definitely you can do that. You can definitely do that and use it to bait, because you do have your teammate here that's ready to come in with a knock if the guy aggressively pushes you. Didn't mean to do that. Unfortunately, the guy was using Recluse, but yeah. And that's what happens when the guy like pushes up and gets the Recluse proc. So you kind of need to use yourself as bait at that point. Unfortunately, they got heavy control, which puts you in a really bad position because there's not much you can do right now. If the guy, did he get 2 kills or 1 kill? So he picked it up and used one. We're going to assume here, always assume the worst case scenario for you if you're tracking ammo. So tracking ammo, grenade launchers would generally get 4 shots. Rocket launchers do usually get 1 or 2. Tractor cannon gets about 50 million, and the same with hammerhead. You can't really, tractor gets 6 off the top of my head, I think, if you want to be super specific and want to count ammo. But I don't really recommend doing that, because that's just super hard, because they're either wielding tractor cannon and another shotgun, which is just super hard to keep track of, and I don't recommend doing that. I only recommend counting ammo if they're using something like a rocket launcher or grenade launchers, because they're super easy to keep track of. So this guy, we're going to assume he used 1 grenade launcher to kill this guy, so now you've got to dodge 3 before he's out. You can kind of do that if you want to hold your sight lines and kind of poke him down to see if he wants to waste any without pushing you, but you kind of backed up against the wall here because there's really not much you can do. You can use the bygones, so you just got to hope that none of these guys are going to push you with a shotgun. So what you want to use is you want to use blockers. So you want to be using this corner of the wall here, because you want to draw him to the right, get him to use 1 or 2 grenades, hopefully, if he wants to put him like here to stop you from going in, and then it immediately lets you to bug out through drain and put you in a completely different part of the map. And that's safe, because no one, if they choose to engage you from this side here, you can get through here and be on the other side before they either reach you here, or if they've come around here to try and engage you on this wall, turn around and reach drain, because they've got to turn around, go around the corner, go to drain, and then drop down to finally find the line of sight on you. So using this event to your advantage here gives you an opportunity to put some damage in. If they push, then you might even snatch up a kill and then bug out immediately, or, which is what your goal is right now, get them to waste some grenade launcher shots to at least put you on some more equal footing. Always look at your radar too. That gives you as much information as you could possibly need. What's likely going to be happening from them, they want to be controlling the capture point, which is also where heavy spawns, so they don't really want to stray further than that if they're a good team. So you want to bait them to engage on a one-on-one where you can try get the kill. So you jump up, you jump too high here, and it's really important, and you'll notice this in the higher levels, that people only tend to jump as high as they need to, because feet on the ground is so much more important in Destiny because of the way accuracy works. If you're even half an inch above the ground, you have literally 0 accuracy unless you're using Icarus grip or like a 180 hand cannon. So you need to keep boots on the ground for as much time as possible, because if you're floating, you're not changing direction, you're kind of just hanging there, and you can't fire back if they start firing at you. So what happened here is I did the easy split, and you could have actually used this to your advantage because you're using something like shoulder charge. You're always expecting, if they do try to follow you around, you have 2 options. You can try turn and burn on the guy coming directly behind you, or you can try catch this guy coming around the corner and hopefully pick up the kill before he like finds you and shoots you. You're assuming he's using a shotgun. 9 times out of 10, this guy around the corner is going to get to this side first. So turning and burning isn't exactly recommended, because you're turning your back to the person that will arrive there first, which means you're basically an open target for them to shoot. It depends what kind of cover you're looking for. So definitely you could have looked to try like continue around this rock and then try rush down the last guy, this guy that's coming around this right hand corner, because you do have your shotgun out. Well, you do have your shotgun. You shouldn't be using a pulse rifle at this point because both of them are close quarters on your radar, so you have no need for this anymore. You need to be prepared for CQC. So what you can definitely look for is kind of go to here and see if you can pick up the guy who's coming around with something like a shoulder charge or a shotgun shoulder charge, and kind of just hope that you get the positive trade on there. But other than that, it's kind of a last ditch effort here, and we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, this guy hit that corner and he's jumped above you. So keeping track of him is hard. Always expect flanks to come from above, particularly towards the end. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be coming from above. Alright, so hopefully we won't do the triple stack in the middle sight line. And we'll try to go towards your left. Go to the left. Alright, so we're going for the triple stack here again. This is a really bad thing because if you do miss the initial shot, you do put yourself in a position to get domed straight away. And it's lucky that you don't get domed because that's twice in a row you've gone there straight away and you've almost died. Notice that the guys, they're doing one person in the middle and they're sending 2 to go on the flank. So even if you do get the guy in the middle, which is what you have done, you're now contesting at least 2 people on the sides. If you find that your teammates are going towards the middle all the time in the map, you have to put it on yourself to block the flank. Even if that's just putting yourself in a position where if you see them, you can put some damage in and then run away. That will stop the flank in and of itself, which is what you have to do if your teammates aren't doing it. You've just got to take one for the team and do it. That was a really good Titan barrier, by the way, to block this sight line. It was really, really good for you to do that because while your teammates did kill the guy coming in on the long alleyway to your right, you've got 2 guys coming in from the flank coming in from heavy. So a Titan barrier here is actually perfect because it gives your teammates chance to, 1, possibly get the reload off if they started the reload, and 2, gives them a chance to regroup and get their sights on this line so that you can challenge as a group together. So putting up your Titan barrier here was a great choice. Well done. Your weapon selection is a little off at the moment. So if you notice here, you still got your shotgun out. You can't do that if the guy is still further away. So this is where, once you throw your nade, you should be switching straight away. So yeah, you did make a positive switch, but it was a little late. And pushing down this guy is absolutely what you should be doing because now you have a numbers advantage. As soon as this guy dies, it's a 3v1. So pushing down this guy and getting heavy control is exactly what you should be doing. And great job. So now that you've got heavy control, you got to watch out because the way that the round has currently worked, you'll now got a stagger spawn. And this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm going to be using this area off to the right here. So this guy spawn, you killed him, say 5 to 10 seconds ahead of the other 2 guys that we're going to group together for the sake of this video. So this guy is now considerably further ahead than his teammates will be. So you can force this guy down because you know that you have a grace period of 5 to 10 seconds where this guy has 0 backup at all. You can tell, by the way, where the other team's going to be spawning because you're still fighting from around the shrine area coming from your natural spawn. So you're automatically going to be coming here. They're going to be spawning in their initial spawn, which is those back pillars. So you know you have 5 to 10 seconds where this guy's all by himself. and the sight lines to where their initial spawns are pretty long. So even if they do spawn straight away, they've still got the trek time to get all the way back to the middle of the map to try to get a sight line on you. So while this guy put a brilliant trip mine onto this wall, this guy isn't going to die from it, and he should just bait the living heck out of this guy here and just stay in this area, so forces this person up, and then you can easily get the kill. Great, what happens? Your teammate picks up heavy, which is great. I'm really liking the fact that you're blocking flanks. So you've noticed on your radar that you've got people spawning in the pillars side, which is the 2 people that you've killed earlier. The last guy that you killed just there is most likely going to be spawning this side as well, but towards the drain, just where your teammates are positioned on the map, and the fact that the game will try spawn you on the natural side where you initially. So he's going to be spawning somewhere towards drain, but so you're blocking a drain flank here, and if anyone tries to come through this sight line towards heavy like this, gives your teammates a chance to push out with rockets, which is really, really good. I was wrong. The guy spawned on your side. But now, this is really good if you now have complete map control, and your 3 enemies are spawned on completely different sides of the map. You've got one person hang out in the initial spawn, which is what this rocket guy is chasing after. You've got the guy that was forced to go into drain, and you've finally picked up the last person who spawned in your initial side, and they've gone through cave, and they've gone through elbow, and they're just about to pick up the shrine and jump onto that. So everything now, because your teammate is with you, every decision that you make now is always going to be positive, because you're going to go into a 2v1 fight where you've got numbers advantage. The easiest one to go for is the guy who's obviously blind pushing just by the way he's moving on the radar. It's the guy behind you. This guy is trying to get back into the fight super quickly, and he's most likely, if you turn around right now, there is a good to fair chance that you're going to catch him just jumping straight up onto shrine, and you're going to be able to melt him instantly. So I would turn around right now and melt the guy that's coming from behind you. Luckily, Hungry Burger, which is the guy I believe who has rockets, already killed the guy at pillars, so that's great. And what do you know? He jumps up there because he tries to get back into the fight. This is great. You're trying to bait them into taking sight lines that are trash because you've got height advantage, so you can head glitch. So if they're standing here and they've got a little person here, and you've got the ledge here, that head is the only thing they can see right now. So they're blocking this, and that's what a head glitch is where you use geometry, so you block as much as your body as possible. And there's other ways you can do this called wall pushing, which is where you walk into a wall to hide your player character because they'll turn kind of side on. So that's really good. So you're just baiting everyone now to come towards you. You have life advantage, so you can afford to throw some away if you want to go aggressive trading. Which is what your team should be doing right now. Unlucky that you did miss the shoulder charge. But because you do have numbers advantage, you definitely should be looking to trade upwards because you have nothing to lose. Which is great. So, textbook round. Once you got past that initial fight, brilliant stuff. You played the math perfectly, which is what you should be doing. Because you want to be forcing the enemy team into making mistakes where they push up when they don't need to. And that inherently comes of it, because if you do win the initial fight, you generally have life advantage, which means the enemy team has to make a play to get back into the game. Which is why I've kind of got disagreements with the way Survival is set up right now. Because Heavy is so powerful on the map, And because the team that generally gets it has a life advantage, they don't have to do anything if they want to play passively. And it's on the team that doesn't have heavy, aka the team that doesn't have the tools that they need to regain control of the map. And basically they have to overextend it to try and make a play. Still, once again, with the 3 stacking down the thing, and notice that you're going to get punished here because your teammate's pushing through and the guy who's flanking via Shrine is going to get picked up. And this guy now has a proc Recluse, which means nothing much you can do. So I would stop it with this laning down the side. I wouldn't take it anymore. Not worth it. Alright, this guy's got rockets, so you can't afford to group together because if the splash damage hits you, you're dying. Great shotgun, by the way. I don't know if you meant this or not, but understanding what range one-hit kills at is huge. A lot of people will tend to try to get as close as they possibly can before they click for the shotgun kill or pull the trigger. So if you understand the range of your shotgun, you can catch a drop on a lot of people because they're not willing to try take the range chance because they're just not confident enough. The confidence is a huge thing when coming to shotgun. That's fine. You want him to... I would actually... Let's review this because you don't have a life advantage. I mean, at the end of the day, he does have rockets, so there's not really a lot that you can do. You can kind of hope for the best, but because he is truth, there's kind of like as soon as he clicks, you really got no choice. So, unfortunately, you kind of had to throw that round away because as soon as they had numbers advantage, and this is what I've been trying to talk about the entire time. If you lose the initial fight, I'm just going to rewind here. As soon as you lose the initial fight, you only have 1 life. So 1 more person on your team dies and everything from there on out is a knock. So you don't have the tools to stage a comeback once they get heavy control. It's just too much of a hill to climb. Which is why heavy is so important right now. This is also why I believe it should get removed from at least a few of the rounds. I should think that heavy should only be offered once or twice in the entire match. Definitely not in the round. Or if it were to be in the round, it should be something towards the end. Like almost just before the cap point comes up. I know, something silly like that. Really good choice where you've switched up now and you've gone for the flanking round. I'm sorry, I've not been paying attention to the video. So really good that you've decided to switch things up and not take this 50-50 sight line. And you're going to go around bend and you're going to try catch the people who you know now blindly jump up. Because that's how they've gotten away with it the entire time. So you can actually use that to your advantage because they'll jump up. It's unfortunate that you did get cleaned up because you weren't exactly prepared for it. Because you should, as soon as you come around this corner, you should be stopped running right now. And you should have your sights absolutely trained on this area here. So if anyone does jump up, you catch them immediately. You can go straight for the kill. So while it was a really good idea for you to catch the flank out now, because they're going to make dumb decisions because no one's really tried to stop them before, it was just unfortunate that you weren't entirely prepared for it and you weren't able to get any kills for it. So it's a shame, but that was a really good idea that you did have. This guy, Hungry Burger, needs to duck out now because he's way in over his head. Yeah. Now, we're getting to the stage of the game where supers are now becoming a thing. And there's a good to decent chance that you might, in fact, be the first person to reach the super. And if you do and are the first person to reach the super, and definitely considering what the other team has, you should be using it because they don't really have anything to stop you. I mean, if that's a blade barrage, you can maybe hope that they're blade barrages. But if you catch someone out in the open with a blade barrage, the way the blade barrage tracking works right now, you can actually survive it pretty easily if you just dodge at the same time that they throw. And when I mean dodge, I mean just like shoulder charge. And you'll generally cause them to miss. So you are definitely the first person to pick up super. So you can be looking to super right now. Hey! Which is what you do. Great decision making. Good decision that you tried to bait the guy out with the rockets and you're ducking out. What you can do now is aim for this guy that spawned in. This is really good. You should be using your left click, by the way, which is your shoulder charge. So very good decision. You've now brought it back to 0 lives all. So now you got to play it safe. Unfortunately, one of your teammates has traded and has kind of died. Hopefully, you can watch here and use your radar to try bait people into coming in, which is what your teammate is doing, and you're providing some really good support. Now watch out for the guy that's coming in on the left. Unfortunately, let's see if your teammate can pull this off. Unfortunately, there was a bit too much of a range gap for you to use your shotguns, but it's still a great idea to be doing this. And hopefully your teammate, you've done enough work and that you're like the guy's on such low health that you can pick it up. Generally, I would give the guy who's using an AR over a bow the chance. Oh, I think your teammate just suppressed him. Let's see. Does he throw the nade? He hits it. Yep, he hits him with the melee too. That's so good. Really good stuff by your teammate. And that guy sacrificed heavy in control, so your teammate should go pick it up straight away. Yep. Which is what happens. No! That's really unfortunate. But yeah. So, because this guy has willingly sacrificed heavy, your teammates made the correct decision into just turning and burning and going for it, which is what he should be doing. Unfortunately, you know this last guy is going to be trying to push you down as hard as possible, so you shouldn't be looking to go towards here. You should be backing up to try to use your heavy to your advantage. So unlucky that that got the trade. So it's 1-3. Things are looking pretty dire. So you got to be starting to look at throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it. Good that you got the guy to use Blade Barrage, but unlucky that exactly what I was warning was going to happen eventually happened, and someone got picked off in the trade. So that's again unlucky that your shoulder charge missed. So because of this, you kind of put yourself back in an advantage. You need to be trying to get a hold of this heavy control, and you kind of want to hope that your teammates aren't going to throw themselves willingly at the point. There's really not much that you can do in this position. You were hoping that Hungry Burger was going to super, but there's not much you can do. You're trying to regain control. I wouldn't push up down towards this cubby here. I don't think it's recommended because the way that your teammate just died, this guy's going to be picking up heavy before you arrive. And unless you completely bum rush with your shotgun out, I don't think you're going to get there in time. Say you run in a good second too late, the guy picks up heavy, and yeah, it's truth, which hurts. Oof. Hungry Burger with the huge play, but unlucky. So, where's a good thing? Oh, well, in the game. Ah, good. There we go. All right. So, there was a quite good number of nice decisions made. One things I want you to learn on, to focus on, and I'm gonna say this all the time, but always. That's a really badass. Always be checking radar. I know I didn't really bring it up that much this video, but always checking your radar, and you should be doing this every couple of seconds, because it does tell you where your enemies are, where your teammates are, and almost it's a really good radar that Destiny has, because it pretty much tells you right where they're going to be if you just use a little bit of map knowledge. So always be checking your radar. 2, block flanks. Really good. Because you're using a pulse rifle and a shotgun, what I would like you to work on is, if you see your teammates trying to run to the center of the map every time, you need to take up the position where you try to block the flank, because someone's going to be doing it. You know, unless the other team's going to be doing the exact same thing, which is not recommended, someone's going to pick that up and go for the flank. So I just want you, if you see 2 teammates run towards the center of the map, don't follow them. I want you to either do the flank yourself, where you're trying to gain heavy control, because if you want to remember in comp, heavy is the most important thing on the map. You need to get heavy control. That's it. If you control heavy, you will almost always win the round. And I think that's what we saw in the video. Whoever picks up heavy, generally, I think they won the round in the end. So heavy control is massive in survival. So you need to be, you don't need to look for kills. You need to be looking at controlling where the heavy is, and then kills will naturally come from that if you're trying to force the enemy team to overextend. That's where that comes from. So block flanks, and then in turn, because of that, you punish overextension. I'm running out of room. Because of that, you punish overextension. Your weapon swaps were good. They could use a little better in terms of quickness that you're switching. And I say that in terms of, it is very noticeable when you don't need a pulse rifle anymore, and it's very noticeable when you don't need a shotgun anymore. So knowing when that happens and then just abandoning it and just switching out, just something that you can work on. You're doing it correctly, it's just a little slow. Another thing that you can work on, there's really not much that you can improve. You're doing a lot of things correctly. There's just a little bit of refinement that needs to be done. You used your super correctly. I was very happy the way that you were using that. And, oh, yeah. Actually pick up heavy. That would be handy. So pick up heavy. If no one else is going to pick up heavy, you need to pick it up. You need to just take it off the map. Once you've taken it off the map, you've removed that point of contention on the map, you can actually play it the way it's supposed to be played. But you did a lot of things correctly. You turned and burned when you should have turned and burned. You were looking for picks, and in terms like that, you were definitely taking advantage of enemies that were willing to overextend, which is exactly what you should be doing in freelance survival, because that's what it's all about. And you were ducking when you were supposed to be ducking. So yeah. And the last thing I'm going to tell you, and it's a capital off point 2, is just avoid the 50-50 sight lines. Oh, wow. The 50-50 sight line. So those in general are the sight lines everyone runs to the beginning of the map. Everyone knows what they are, because that's where the map makers want you to run towards. So avoid the 50-50 sight lines, because it's too much of a toss-up whether you're going to get the kill or whether the enemy team's got the kill. You're better off just either watching it if no one else is going to be there with you, or just ignoring it entirely. If you do that, I reckon your gameplay will improve a lot, because you're doing things correctly in terms you're trying to stay alive when you can. And also, I'm going to add this because it's a little bit more advanced, but I know you can do it because you're on that way. Use your health as bait. So be aware where your teammates are. I mean, you can do that by, if you're checking the radar, you know where your teammates are. And if you just got into a fight and you've won it, definitely look to use your health, or the fact that you're on low health, as bait to try and goad another person into overextending so you can punish for that. That happens a lot in Freelance, and once you learn that you can do that and your teammates catch on that you can do that as well, you instantly start winning more fights, because what will tend to happen is people try to rush down to get a cleanup when they don't think about the fact that someone else might be there, or that 9 times out of 10, that's what the enemy, like, that's what they're expecting them to be doing, is trying to rush down. So I know you have the ability to start doing that. So every time your health enters red, play it safe, but also see if you can use that to goad someone in to pushing when they don't have to. Takes a little bit of thinking to know when to do that. It usually just involves a lot of wall hugging and moving a little bit forward and then a little bit backward. You kind of just want to present yourself as a little tasty morsel and see if anyone's going to bite. And if they bite, that's it. Game's over. So yeah, you did a lot of things really well. There's some refinements that you can definitely make, and that will improve your game a lot. And then once you've refined them, we can talk about a little bit more advanced stuff in terms of map rotations and attacking spawns when we're talking about stagger spawning. So all in all, very good. Very happy with the way that you played. You're doing a lot of things correctly, and you're recognizing a lot of things, which is great. So refine on the basics. Keep an eye out when you're using these points when you're thinking about it next, and good luck. And I hope to have a gameplay from you again sometime. I'd like to see how you improved, and we can definitely take the next step. So thank you for sending your gameplay in. Meant a lot. My name is Sassy. Thank you for watching this amazingly long episode on another Destiny 2 analysis video. If you'd like your own video analyzed, all you have to do is upload it to either Streamable or YouTube, and then send it to me either via my email, sassytpb@gmail.com. That is SASSITPB@gmail.com. Or attend one of my streams on twitch.tv/sassytpb and post it in the chat, and it will most likely get reviewed every Monday night, so long as I've got gameplays to review. Every Monday night starting 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That is not daylight savings. And yeah, and everything will be uploaded to YouTube afterwards, so you don't get to, even if you don't get to make it to the stream, you don't miss out. So thank you for watching. My name is Sassy, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Woo!